In our last video, which was on the classification of epithelial tissue, we have spoken about glandular epithelium. What are glandular epithelium? What are their functions? Where are they placed? We have spoken about these things. Today we shall speak about the types of glandular epithelium. Now, glandular epithelium has been divided into various categories based on a variety of different criteria, like whether they are multicellular or unicellular, what kind of material they secrete, whether they have duct or not, what is their shape. So based on these factors, there has been a classification of the glandular epithelium. So let us see them one by one. First, glandular epithelium has been divided on the presence of number of cells in them. How many cells are the gland made up of? They may be unicellular, they may be unicellular, as in case of goblet cell. Goblet cell, we have seen the goblet cell, they are made up of just one cell. Goblet cells are present in stomach or duodenum. Then the glandular epithelium, it may be multicellular. The glands may be made up of many cells, and maximum the glands are multicellular. Example, among the many, there are liver, then acinar cell of pancreas, then salivary glands. All these glands are multicellular in nature. Then the next type of division will be on the type of secretion that gland is doing. So based on this criteria, the glands can be number one, they are known as serous gland if the secretion is water plus protein. Whatever the secretion, their secretion is basically watery secretion with some protein in it. So the example of such type of gland is salivary gland. Salivary gland. They secrete watery substance along with proteins. So they are known as serous gland. Then the next type is sebaceous gland. These type of gland, they secrete sebum or oil. They are present throughout the skin except palm and sole, and the maximum number of sebaceous gland is present in the face area and the scalp area. That is why our face gets oily, scalp gets oily. So it's because of the maximum location of sebaceous gland in these regions. Then the third type is mucous gland. These kind of gland, they secrete whitish colored mucus, slippery type of substance which is known as mucus. So mucous gland is present in the nasal region near the larynx and also in the proximal part of trachea. So we whenever we catch cold, in those times the mucous glands, they become highly activated, and so we face problem, running nose and all those things is because of mucous gland. Then mucous glands are also present in stomach, where it protects the stomach lining from the effect of acid. Stomach has HCl acid, which is very strong. So if mucus is not there, then it may destroy the lining of the stomach. So their mucous glands are present in stomach and in duodenum. So this is about the type of secretion. The glands are divided into these three types. Now the next criteria is whether duct is present in the gland or it is not present. If the duct is present, then those glands are known as exocrine gland. And if the ducts are not present, that means the release, the substance which these glands are secreting, it is released directly in the blood. There is no gland, there is no duct which is leading it into particular organ. It is not leading into particular organ. In case of exocrine gland, they have duct which leads the secretion into particular organ where they will show their function. But in case of endocrine, it is not released into any organ, rather it is released directly into the blood. So sometimes difference is out between endocrine and exocrine gland. So these are the 2 points which you should keep in mind. Now another point is exocrine gland, among other things, they secrete enzymes. An endocrine gland will always secrete hormones. Endocrine gland will always secrete hormones. Example of endocrine gland will be pituitary hormones. It will be pituitary gland, thyroid gland, all the endocrine glands. So they are basically this. They don't have duct. They secrete directly into the blood and they secrete hormones. Exocrine gland, they have duct. They secrete. They pour their substance, their secretion into some gland. Into some organ along with the duct, and they secrete mostly enzyme. Now, exocrine gland, based on how the release of substance is happening, it is divided into three types: holocrine gland, merocrine gland, and apocrine gland. Now, holocrine gland is something like this. Suppose this is the gland. Here there are cells everywhere. There are cells. In case of holocrine gland, what happens? The entire cell will come out. The entire cell will come out along with the release. And this have to be replaced by new ones. That means the entire cell is getting destroyed, or it's getting disintegrated, and that is how the release is coming out into the space, into the cavity. This is holocrine gland. Example being sebaceous gland. In case of merocrine gland, what happens? The cells are not hampered. The cells are not hampered. The cells are as it is, and the secretion is coming out by way of diffusion. It is just secretion which is coming out. Just the liquid part is coming out by exocytosis. But the cells are not spoiled, not destroyed. Example being, most of the sweat gland of our body, they are of merocrine type. Then gastrointestinal gland, they are merocrine. Pancreas, acinar cell, they are also merocrine glands. The cells of these glands are not spoiled when they release the substance. So that is merocrine. Now the last type is apocrine gland, where what happens? A pinch of a part of cell. Suppose this is the cell which is releasing the matter. A part of this cell will be pinched off. A part of the cell will come out along with the release, along with the substance. So that is apocrine. Apocrine glands are, again, some of the sweat glands are apocrine in nature, while most of them are merocrine in nature. Now, this apocrine sweat gland, what happens? These are present in the armpit and the groin area. So, we see, like when we wipe our face with the help of a handkerchief, the handkerchief is not getting dirty. It is, it does not show any stain or whatever. But we sometimes see stain in the armpit. Why is it so? It is so because the facial sweat gland, they were merocrine in nature. They are merocrine in nature. So they are releasing just sweat, which is colorless. But the armpit sweat gland, they are apocrine in nature. And along with the sweat, they also release a part of the cytoplasm, which contains the stain. And so we get to see stain. So some of the sweat glands are apocrine, whereas rest of them, they are merocrine in nature. Then in case of apocrine, we also have mammary gland. Mammary glands are apocrine in nature. So this is about the exocrine gland of the glandular epithelium. Now we shall see just in a while how the division has been done based on shape of the glands. So this is about this. So that was regarding exocrine and endocrine gland. Now we have one more category in this type of classification, and that is heterocrine gland or mixed gland. Now mixed gland is a combination of both these two types, exocrine gland and endocrine gland. That means these organs, they will have both exocrine feature, exocrine cells and endocrine cells. So let us see what they are. Mixed gland, example is pancreas, and also testes. These are the glands which function as both exocrine and endocrine gland. Now, if we talk of pancreas, pancreas has two types of cells. Let us draw and try to understand. Suppose this is a rough diagram of outline of pancreas. In pancreas, we have two types of cells. One is islet of Langerhans. Islet. By islet only we can understand they are some floating somewhere just like this. Islets of Langerhans. And these secrete insulin, which is a hormone. Then on the wall of pancreas are these epidermal cells, which are called acinar cells. Acinar cells. They all open by duct, and then they lead to a single duct which goes and opens in the duodenum. Acinar gland secretes enzyme, which is pancreatic juice, and they go to duodenum and they release there. So we see that in pancreas we have two types of cell. This is islet of Langerhans and these are acinar cell. They are acting. This one is acting. This one is a endocrine organ and this one is exocrine organ. So this particular organ has both endocrine and exocrine organs in them, and so they are known as heterocrine gland. Example is pancreas and testes. So this is about division based on ducts. Now there is one more left, which is a division of glandular epithelium based on shape of the glands, which we shall see just now. Based on shape, we have two types of glandular epithelium. They are tubular or saccular. So from the name itself we can understand this is tube-like and this is sac-like. Saccular glands are also known as alveolar or acinar glands. Now, tubular gland, they may be of two types. One is simple, which comprise of just one tube, and the other is compound, which will have multiple tube-like structure. Now, simple can be either simple glandular, they are simple glandular, like suppose this is the gland made up of rows of cells. Straight tube. This kind of gland is found in crypt of Lieberkühn, which is in the small intestine. So there we get simple glandular epithelium. Now the second type is simple coiled gland. Coiled tubular gland. Now in this case what happens, suppose this is a tube which is going, this will get coiled like this, and then there are cells. So the structure is little coiled, and coiled simple tubular is found in sweat gland. It is found in sweat gland. Now, in case of compound, what happens? There is a opening which gives rise to one tube, but then this tube divides and forms a few more tubes, and then all these are covered with cells, epithelial cells. So the poring will come in this space. So this is compound tubular epithelium. The example being gastric glands in the pyloric region. Gastric gland, those pyloric gastric gland. Those gastric glands which are present in the pyloric region, they are compound tubular gland. Now, to talk of saccular alveoli, saccular gland, they are also of two types, simple and compound. In case of simple, here also there is an opening in the cells, and then in that opening there is a sac-like structure which secretes substance. A single sac-like structure. This is secretory in nature. Example being urethral gland, para-urethral gland. They are simple saccular. Then the next type that we have is compound saccular. So again there is an opening. Now this opening will lead into a number of sac-like structure. Now there is cell all around. And they will release their substance in this empty space and it will come out. Now this is compound saccular gland. Example being thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is compound saccular. Thyroid. So we see here 5 types of gland. Now there is one more type which is a combination of tubular plus saccular. How is it? Let us see that also. So this is known as tubulo-saccular gland. Tubulo-saccular gland. Now how it is? Let us see. Tubulo-saccular gland, I will just draw here. So like there is an opening and it gives rise to tubule-like structure. This will again divide into many tubules. Okay. Now this will again divide. 2-3 divisions will be tubular, and then there will be sac-like structure at the end. So this is a combination. There are cells all around. There are cells all around. Everywhere there are epithelial cells. Now this type of gland is found in salivary gland. This salivary gland is an example of tubulo-saccular gland, and mammary gland. Mammary gland. So these are the 3 broad categories based on the shape of the glands that is there. So they may be tubular, they may be saccular, or they may be a combination of tubular and saccular. And the examples have been discussed already. So I hope this is understood. And please remember the example and the names of the different types of glands. So with this we come to the end of this classification. Now we will just discuss about 2 more special type of epithelial cell. They are pseudostratified epithelial and transitional epithelial cell. Though we have done a brief discussion, but we will talk a little about their classification also.